It was a quiet, rainy morning. Eleanor Griffin sat by the window, holding a warm cup of coffee. She stared outside, deep in thought. Her life had always been the same, calm on the outside, but full of secrets. She was known as the quiet oldest daughter in her family, the one who always followed the rules and never made a fuss, but no one really knew who she was inside. Today was her mother Patricia's 65th birthday. Patricia had planned a big dinner at a fancy restaurant in Lucille. As usual, she expected everything to be perfect, and expected Eleanor to handle the details. That morning, Patricia had called. "You did make the reservation, didn't you?" her mother asked, her voice sharp with doubt. "Yes, Mama, I booked it a month ago," Eleanor replied calmly. What she didn't say was that the reservation was only possible because of her secret connections, not as an ordinary employee at a small accounting firm, but as the famous author Guu Winters. No one in her family knew the truth. After hanging up, Eleanor looked at the bookshelf across the room. 5 books stood proudly, each with the name E.G. Winters in shiny gold letters. That was her secret life. She had written those best-selling novels. Her writing had brought her money, success, and fans around the world, but she had kept it hidden from her family for years. Everything had started 10 years ago after her father, Jonathan Griffin, passed away. He was the only one who had ever encouraged her dreams. After he died, her mother and younger sister, Vanessa, had become colder. They didn't believe Eleanor had any real talent. They thought she was just a plain woman with a boring job. Just then, a message from Vanessa popped up on Eleanor's phone. "What did you get Mama for her birthday?" it read. Eleanor smiled slightly and replied, "It's a surprise, you'll see tonight." In truth, Eleanor had paid for a luxury trip to Paris for her mother, something she could easily afford now thanks to her writing success. As she finished her coffee, her phone rang again. It was Marcus Simons, her editor from Penguin Publishing. "Eleanor, great news," he said with excitement. "Universal Pictures wants to buy the movie rights to your Light in the Darkness series. A big producer is in town, and he wants to meet you tonight, at Lille Restaurant, around 6 p.m. Eleanor's heart raced. "That's amazing," she said, "but that's the same night as my mother's birthday dinner, at the same restaurant." "Well, then this is perfect," Marcus replied. "Let's meet an hour before your family dinner, just 1 hour. You can't miss this chance." Eleanor thought for a moment, then agreed. "All right, I'll be there at 5. She called Vanessa to let her know she'd be late. "Really, work again?" Vanessa sighed. "That little accounting firm takes up all your time." "I have an important client. I'll just be an hour late," Eleanor explained. "Fine, but Mama won't be happy," Vanessa said and hung up. Eleanor stared out the window. The rain had stopped, and the sun was coming through the clouds. She wondered, should I finally tell them who I really am? Should I show them I'm not the failure they think I am? She whispered to herself, someday, they'll know the truth. That afternoon, Eleanor got ready. She picked a black silk dress, the kind she usually wore to award ceremonies. She put on simple but elegant jewelry and styled her hair. She looked in the mirror and smiled at her reflection. As E.G. Winters, she felt proud, but she knew she'd have to change into something simpler later, so her family wouldn't say she was showing off. Just then, her phone rang again. It was her mother. "Come now, the restaurant sent a limo for us. Vanessa and I are already dressed," Patricia said. Eleanor was confused. "A limo? I didn't arrange that." "It must be part of the special service," Patricia said, sounding proud. Eleanor peeked outside and saw the white limousine waiting. But something was strange. When she made the reservation, she used her pen name, not her real name, and she never asked for a limo. Still thinking about it, Eleanor saw her mother and Vanessa step outside. Patricia wore a bright green gown and a huge pearl necklace. Vanessa wore a red dress with flashy gold jewelry. Both looked like they were going to a fashion show. "Hurry up," Patricia called out. Eleanor walked downstairs. "I told you, I'll be there later. I have a meeting first." Patricia frowned. "You care more about your silly job than my birthday?" "I'll be there in an hour, I promise," Eleanor said firmly. Vanessa rolled her eyes. "Is that what you're wearing? That dress looks cheap." "I'll change after the meeting," Eleanor replied. She moved toward the car, but Patricia stopped her. "This car is for Vanessa and me. You can come on your own." Eleanor stood still. "But..." Vanessa laughed. "Walking will do you good. That plain dress doesn't belong in this limo anyway. Eleanor didn't argue, she simply said, I'll see you at the restaurant. The limousine drove away, leaving her standing there, alone. She felt the same sadness she always did around her family, the feeling of being ignored and looked down on. Then, her phone rang again. It was Marcus. Good news, he said. The producer, James Connor, is flying in early. He's joining the meeting. I arranged a car to pick you up, VIP treatment. Eleanor blinked. A car? When? In about 10 minutes. Black Mercedes. Driver's name is Craig. And just as he spoke, the car pulled up in front of her house. A polite driver stepped out. Miss Griffin, or should I say, Miss Winters, I'm here to escort you. Eleanor smiled. She got into the car, which was filled with her favorite champagne and mineral water. This was no ordinary ride, this was a car for someone important, for someone like her. The car took her to the VIP entrance of the restaurant. Marcus was waiting outside in a gray suit. You're right on time, he said warmly. James is already here, he's a big fan. They walked into a private room. Inside, a man stood and smiled. E.G. Winters, it's an honor, he said. Your books changed my life. Thank you, Eleanor said, shaking his hand. They sat down, and champagne was poured. A toast, Marcus said, to Eleanor's talent, and the success of the movie. They clinked glasses. James opened his folder. We want to buy the rights to all 5 books. The budget is $100 million per film, and you'll be part of the production team. Eleanor's eyes widened. That's incredible. You deserve it, James said. Your story is more than fantasy, it's about family, identity, and healing. We want to honor that. Marcus looked at her. The publishing house supports this fully. Eleanor nodded. I accept, but I have one request. She paused. I want my real name in the credits. Marcus looked surprised. You mean Eleanor Griffin? Yes, she said. It's time I stop hiding. I want people to know who I really am. I think it's time the world sees who I really am, Eleanor said softly. James looked at her with interest. That's a big step. Any special reason for the timing? Eleanor looked out the window, her thoughts far away. It's about my family. They don't know the real me. They don't know I'm the writer E.G. Winters. Tonight, they're having a birthday dinner for my mother right here in this restaurant. I think it's time I finally tell them the truth. Marcus, who had been sitting beside her, gave a gentle nod. He knew a bit about her complicated relationship with her family. I think it's a great idea, he said kindly, and once your real identity is public, our marketing team can launch a whole new campaign. The 3 of them talked for a while about her book contract and the upcoming movie deal. After finalizing everything, Eleanor signed the contract with a hand that trembled slightly. This was a life-changing moment. Congratulations, Eleanor, Marcus said, tucking the signed contract back into his folder. From tonight, you're officially a Hollywood author, he added proudly. James stood up and reached out to shake her hand. I'm excited to work with you. Eleanor smiled and shook his hand too. Me too. After the meeting ended, Eleanor checked the time. It was already 6:30 p.m. She was half an hour late for her family dinner. I need to go now, she said quickly. My family is waiting for me. Of course, Marcus replied. But before you go, let's raise a toast to your success. Also, I'd love to introduce you to Robert Coleman, the restaurant owner. He's a huge fan of your books. Eleanor followed Marcus out of the private meeting room. As they walked toward the main part of the restaurant, she scanned the room and spotted her mother and sister sitting near the center. Her mother, Patricia, looked irritated and kept checking her watch. Just then, a tall man in a dark red suit walked up to them with a friendly smile. Marcus, it's been too long, he said warmly. Robert, good to see you. Marcus smiled and shook his hand. Let me introduce you. This is E.G. Winters, or rather, Eleanor Griffin. Robert's eyes widened with excitement. Wait, the E.G. Winters, the one who wrote Light in the Darkness? That's me, Eleanor said modestly. I absolutely love your books, he said loudly. People nearby turned to look, including Eleanor's sister, Vanessa, who was now whispering something to Patricia. Both of them were staring at Eleanor with surprise. It's my mom's birthday today, Eleanor said to Robert. We're having dinner here. How lovely. Then please accept a bottle of our best champagne on the house, Robert said with joy. Also, congratulations on the movie deal. I heard from my staff earlier. Marcus gave Eleanor a pat on the shoulder. You should join your family now. We'll catch up later. Eleanor nodded, thanked them both, and turned toward her mother and sister. She took a deep breath before walking over. Patricia and Vanessa looked shocked as she approached. Her mother sat up straighter, clearly confused. Vanessa's mouth hung slightly open as she stared at Eleanor's elegant dress. I'm sorry I'm late, Eleanor said gently. What's going on? Patricia asked, looking confused. The restaurant owner was talking to you like he knew you. And your clothes. Before she could finish, a waiter arrived with a bottle of champagne. This is from Mr. Coleman, he said politely, to celebrate Miss Griffin's film contract. Patricia blinked in shock. Vanessa looked like she had just swallowed a lemon. What film contract? Vanessa asked. You're an accountant, aren't you? Eleanor smiled. Not really, I've been writing under the pen name E.G. Winters. Patricia gasped. The author? The one who writes those famous books? Eleanor nodded. Yes, and today, the movie deal for my book series was signed. That's why I was late. The table went quiet. Patricia and Vanessa just stared at her. Why didn't you ever tell us? Patricia finally asked. Eleanor looked into her mother's eyes. I didn't think you'd believe in me. You never did before. Patricia opened her mouth to speak but didn't say anything. Guilt was all over her face. Vanessa mumbled. You should have walked. We told you it was healthy. I didn't walk, Eleanor said calmly. The publishing house sent a car for me. Right then, Robert returned with a smile. Miss Griffin, is everything okay? Yes, thank you, Eleanor replied. I've also arranged a special birthday menu for your mother, he said, handing it to Patricia. Patricia took it with a dazed look. Thank you. When he left, the table was silent again. Eleanor picked up her glass. To Mama's birthday, and to new beginnings. Patricia and Vanessa slowly raised their glasses too. The sound of them clinking echoed softly between them. Then, Patricia surprised Eleanor by saying, I've read your books, especially the third one. The story about the daughter and her mother always makes me cry. Eleanor was taken aback. Really? Yes, Patricia said, her voice softer. I didn't know it was you, but that part always made me think. Eleanor smiled. That part of the story had been based on her own life, her feelings toward her mother. I just didn't know how to tell you, she said. When I started writing, I was scared I'd fail, and when I started succeeding, well, no one seemed to care about my small wins. I didn't want to be mocked. That's not true, Vanessa said quickly, but her guilty face said otherwise. Vanessa, Eleanor said kindly, just earlier today, you called me poor. You joked that walking here was good for someone like me. Vanessa flushed red. It was just a joke. I've heard that kind of joke for 10 years, Eleanor said quietly, ever since Papa died. Patricia's eyes filled with tears. Did he know? Yes, Eleanor said. He was the only one who believed in me. I used E.G. for Eleanor Griffin, and Winters because it was Papa's favorite season. Silence again. Even the waiter placing food didn't break it. How successful are you? Vanessa asked after a pause. The books have sold over 20 million copies, Eleanor said. They're in 23 languages. The movie deal is worth over $100 million per film. There will be 5 films. Both Patricia and Vanessa looked like they might faint. But the accounting firm? Patricia asked weakly. It's not real. I just said that so no one would ask questions. I do manage the finances for my company, though. Vanessa suddenly laughed in disbelief. We've been calling you boring and broke. You've looked down on me, Eleanor said softly, but I want to move forward. I want a real relationship with both of you. Patricia wiped her eyes with a tissue. I misjudged you. I'm so sorry. Eleanor touched her mother's hand. I love you both. I just needed space to be myself. What about the limo this morning? Vanessa asked. It was arranged by the publishing house, Eleanor said with a smile. The restaurant knew I'd be coming, so they treated me like a VIP. Vanessa gave a small laugh. I bet our faces were a sight. The three of them laughed together for the first time in a long time. Patricia straightened her back. Well, as your mother, I can't forgive you just yet for hiding this for 10 years, she said playfully, but I am incredibly proud. Then, in a more serious voice, she added, starting tomorrow, I'll help check your contracts. I want to make sure no one is cheating you. Eleanor laughed. I already have a legal team, Mama. I've managed everything fine. I'll still double-check, Patricia insisted. Vanessa lifted her glass. To E.G. Winters, no, to Eleanor Griffin. They clinked glasses again, and in that moment, something changed between them. The past still lingered, but there was warmth now, understanding, a new beginning. In her heart, Eleanor whispered, "Thank you, Papa, I did it, I really did it."